Thank you for joining us today on the Security Podcast. My name is Peter Graham and I'm a Partner Development Manager for Security at Ingram Micro Cloud. And I'm joined today by...
Hi everyone, my name is Gemma Dyer. I'm the EMEA Security Business Lead for SMB EMEA at Microsoft.
Wow, fancy title. Great to have you here. Thank you very much, Gemma. So today we're going to talk very heavily about Microsoft Security and Purview and all the solutions that kind of create the customer ecosystem to protect them and prepare them for the ever-changing technologies that happen in this day and age. And it's moving at light year space at the minute when it comes to especially AI and things like that. So Gemma, what could you tell us about how Microsoft sees the future landscape of 2026 when it comes to security and AI? What would you say is the big talking point at the minute internally?
I think, cybercrime more generally is on the increase. It's increasing sort of 10 times every year. And we are starting to see sort of threat actors target SMBs more and more. I think 1 in 3 have now been victim of a cyber attack. If we look at cybercrime from last year versus this year, it was 57% year-on-year increase when it comes to SMBs. So SMBs are being targeted more and more, and it's never been more of a critical time for customers to invest in that end-to-end security solution. So are they protecting their endpoints, their mailbox, their identities? And then so there's that piece, and then we're definitely in that era of AI. So customers know that they want to use AI. There was a statistic from the Work Trends Index that 80% of AI workers are actually bringing their own AI to work. So employees are going to use it. So how do we enable them to use that effectively, safely? So data security, I think, is very much top of mind for our customers at the moment.
And I guess threat actors are using AI to effectively automate their attacks. So it's even though we become more sophisticated in using AI as businesses, the threat actors are using AI to be sophisticated in their attacks now as well. I remember going to a security event a while ago, and somebody said that when you get one of those phishing emails, it's like, oh, you're the son of a prince, and you can get £500,000 and stuff like that, and people just ignore them and they know it's a phishing attack. But the most common way of targeting someone is the unsubscribe button at the bottom. So people think, oh, I'll not click that. I'll just, unsubscribe and I'll stop getting these emails. But that's the link that contains the malicious link. And it's just crazy how they're deliberately looking to be found out in some cases, but they're actually machine learned so that people are thinking, oh, I'm too clever for this. And they'll accidentally click on a link anyway. What would you say in regards to why do you think SMBs are being targeted more than, because we've obviously seen the enterprise businesses like Marks and Spencer's, JLR and so on and so forth being targeted. What makes an SMB more of an appetite for a threat actor, would you say?
I think they're almost seen as an easier target, and I think big enterprises, they are notorious for having invested more into cybersecurity, and I just think SMBs haven't done that. They might not have the time, they might not have the employees to be able to do that, and actually a lot of our SMBs, they might not have an IT team, they might not have a cybersecurity team. It might be employees wearing multiple hats, so they don't have the skill set or the knowledge to be able to do that, and that's where they really turn to a partner to go and to enable them to help with that. So threat actors are now looking for how many customers they can go and target and attack as many as possible. So I think we've just seen that transition. But you still see the big enterprises right in the news where they've all been victim of cyber attacks. But I think SMBs unfortunately have been seen as quick wins, and that's why it's becoming more and more important for our customers to be investing in security solutions. Yeah,
and I guess the attacks can vary by scale. Like sometimes I've seen attacks where people have had their accounts breached.
Yeah.
Just so that their Azure services can be used to mine Bitcoin. Wow. I've even seen attacks where, yes, they've been locked out and they're holding all their data to ransom. But then I've also seen attacks where they change serial numbers or bank details so that they get payments and they live in the systems for months on end. What would you say is the best kind of baseline that an SMB can follow or a partner can follow to ensure that they tick all the boxes to at least start to lay the groundwork if they're going to prepare themselves for the inevitable? Because you can say that you can prevent an attack, but for only so long. An attack is always going to happen, whether you prepare for or not prepare for? What would you say would be the critical things that partners and businesses should implement?
I think it's just looking at your cybersecurity posture and do I have an end-to-end security solution? Now, is that a Microsoft end-to-end security solution, or have you got solutions for all of those different priorities? So I'd say stage one is MFA. Like, is MFA switched on? And that sounds quite basic, but actually we still have...
Oh, I see it all the time.
There's thousands of customers that haven't even
enabled. Oh, it stops me from logging in and all this sort of thing. And I don't want to have it implemented.
100%. And the Digital Defence Report came out in October. It's something Microsoft releases every year with worldwide research. It still prevents 99% of identity threats. So switch on MFA is the biggest, but actually it recommended in there that MFA isn't actually enough, and now we need to be using AI in identity protection to take it one step further. So how are we looking at things like impossible travel, risk-based conditional access, like impossible travel, just to give you an example. So if I'm logging in the UK at my desk, your identity learns patterns about where you work, how you work, what devices you work on. So if you have then attempted logons in like Singapore, for example, but you've already logged in the UK, that's impossible travel. So that's a critical risk. So there's lots of kind of machine learning and AI identity tools that can be now used. But going back to your kind of original question, I think we need to have security protection on emails, identity, endpoint. So do you have a solution within those? So if you have got gaps in your security posture, think about investing to make sure you've got protection, and that's a reason why Microsoft brought out the new security SKUs for our SMB customers. So we released in September I think it was, Defender Suite and Purview Suite to attach to Business Premium. The main reason we did that is because our SMBs needed enterprise-grade security or an end-to-end security solution, but at a price point and something that could be attached to our business SKUs for our smaller customers.
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess so some of the risk-based conditional access and things like that, they are included within Defender Suite.
Yeah.
If you don't have Defender Suite, you can still get it with Entra IDP2 and other products. And I guess from a Purview standpoint as well, like most businesses are being targeted for their data, the access to the data. Can you tell us a wee bit more about how Purview Suite can support a business, whether it's from a security standpoint, but also from an AI standpoint? Because one of the biggest objections to AI is that people don't feel secure enough to deploy AI. And obviously security being top of mind, where does Purview come into all this, would you say?
Great question. Very, very topical at the moment as customers are moving to AI. Just to reflect back on, if you haven't read the Digital Defence Report and you love security like me, I'd go recommend reading it because it's really fascinating. But one of the things that stuck out in there is around data security. And the report talked about that one of the main reasons for cybercrime at the moment is for data theft, which threat actors are trying to sell to make money and monetize on that. So when customers are deploying AI or using AI, or employees are bringing their own AI to work, that's the biggest risk, because that's your biggest risk of data leakage. Employees are unknowingly putting sensitive data into ungoverned AI tools, and that's where data leaks come about. And
because you're effectively sharing your company sensitive data with third-party applications that have either not been authorized or have no critical infrastructure or protection, in terms of what they do with that data. Take cookies, for example. Everyone thinks it's a very light-hearted name. They go, accept cookies when you go into a website, but in reality it's, am I allowed to track anything you do in this website and any other websites you've been on? And people don't realize that. And whenever you share your data with AI, it's allowed to ingest that data, learn from it, and even use it to help other people who are interacting with AI, which is just incredible to think about. But it does make services better. But this is where people need to be ensuring that they're using the AI that the business allows them to do, so it has that enterprise-grade security, which Copilot has.
Absolutely. And I think, look, it's unknowingly that employees are accidentally sharing this sensitive data, and this is going up all the way to C-suite, right? So there's an aspect of education that's needed into how to use AI securely, but then how do you use Purview to alleviate some of that risk from the end users? And there's so much goodness in Purview that can really support our customers. with getting their data security strategy in place so that they can use AI effectively. And I encourage kind of partners and customers to break this down into kind of 4 groups. So the kind of stage 1 is, how do you get your security strategy, end-to-end security before even embarking on an AI journey? So that means switching on MFA, having protection across all of those things we talked about earlier, mailbox, endpoints, etc., and making sure you've got a really secure solution. And we've got solutions assessments for customers that can help check their security posture. So that's kind of stage 1, is get your security solid. Stage 2 is what AI is already being used in my business. And I said earlier, like 80% of customers are bringing their own AI to work. So who's doing that? What are they? And in Purview, there's data security posture management for AI, which is an amazing tool. I absolutely love it. And every time I present it to customers, it blows their mind. And they're like, wow, I didn't even know AI was being used in my business. So what this does, it's within Purview, and it's going to give customers visibility into what AI is being used in my business, what vendors are being used, how is it being used, and is there any risky prompts or risky sensitive data that is being shared in those AI tools. And it's going to give you a risk associated with that. So it will either give you an amber risk, where you can continue using this in your business, but you might want to be putting into some data loss prevention tools to be able to use this effectively, or it's going to give you a high risk, show that's high risk, and actually do you want to be blocking the use of those AI tools. So that's kind of stage 2, is like what is discovering how AI is being used, and you can then take those decisions in your business on, do I want to continue using those, or do I just need to put in policies in place? And then the third stage is really around, how are you going to use Purview to either use AI effectively, putting in those data loss prevention policies, or are we going to use Defender for Cloud Apps to completely ban the use of AI tools? And partners can help their customers, right, make those decisions, if they want to continue to use those, or perhaps not. But also, customers don't realize that they've got Copilot Chat free within their Microsoft licenses. So actually, you can give customers a secure AI tool to use that's within their tenant and has all the same security and compliance policies.
So they can get started today using Copilot safely while they implement a Copilot for 365 eventually, where they can use it within the applications to create documents and things like that.
Exactly.
Yeah, brilliant. I have to say, it is fascinating to sometimes, the new acronyms that are being brought out this year, like BYO-AI and things like that. It's quite fascinating to see that how Microsoft is very quickly implementing reports and various different things so that customers can understand how AI is being used. Because, like you said, if people are not being given AI to work with, they will bring their own AI in. I know that I use Copilot internally for work, but I also use Copilot in my personal device for various different things at home as well. So it's quite interesting to see how, whether it be Cloud App Discovery, Cloud App Security, or within Purview, how you can effectively look at your posture, understand what the risks are, and protect them. I guess the final thing to kind of go on that piece is going back into the data side of things, because that is effectively the bread and butter of what attackers are always trying to achieve. I've noticed in the last 12 months that most partners do not have some sort of a data risk management offering or a data management kind of service that allows customers to organize and prepare their data, whether it be archiving, deleting, finding data that's got highly sensitive information and storing it safely and securely. How would you say is the best way that a partner could create such a service or monetize that with Microsoft technologies? Because from my opinion, I would look at it as, if I'm an SMB, I'll have Business Premium, I'll have Defender Suite, and I'll have Purview Suite. And again, there's more discounts available for buying them together in a package. Once I have them, how can a partner ensure that a customer has a service that's ever growing, that they can keep on all the time and support the customer and all the data? Because the amount of data that's created every day, daily, especially in the UK, would be into the hundreds of thousands of petabytes. What would you do in terms of monetizing that?
It's a great question. And I think we're in a very unique moment in time where this is a real opportunity for partners to capitalize on this opportunity. I think where we've now got a Purview or a data security offering for SMBs, like this is a really big moment. And I'd say, look, Purview deployments are different.
Yeah.
Like it's a different conversation. It's not an IT decision. And Purview is having discussions with members of the business on what is the data security strategy, how are we going to govern that data, what are the policies in place. And I've been selling Purview to bigger customers for years, and it was always a different kind of sell and a different kind of conversation. Customers might not know what their data governance strategy is, and that's where partners need to help customers, because I think, look, the benefit of Purview is the automation.
Yeah.
So I'd say that's even before we were in the era of AI, like that automation piece was the best selling point for Purview. And if you are going on a data security strategy, and I've worked with customers making their business case for this, right? If you're going to stay on Business Premium or you're going to stay on ME3, that whole project is manual.
Yeah.
So you're going to have to manually apply sensitivity labels and data loss prevention policy to every single document that exists in your organization. Now, that could take years. I've worked with customers and we've done these calculations that, I worked with a customer recently. They weren't an SMB. They were a slightly bigger organization, but with the terabytes of data they had, it was going to take 2 full-time employees 2.5 years to manually label all of their documents. So where a partner can help on this is that, I guess, discovery and helping the customer talk through what are the policies that they're going to put in place for the data loss prevention policies, what's the automatic deletion policies that you talked about there, how they're going to abide by those regulations like GDPR, or if it's NIS2 if they're working with the EU, but also what are the keywords in your business that that always relates to sensitive data. So is that employee numbers, is that, I don't know, do you have customer numbers? Do you have certain words that always trigger confidential data?
Yeah.
And I think the partners can work with the customer and identifying all that, and then setting that up in Purview to then, and then once that's set up, the machine learning, the AI will automatically hunt across M365, across all of their data, and automatically apply those labels. And then that counts for any future documents that are created by employees. So I think that gives the customers confidence that they're always going to abide by the policies that have been set. And I think that's the confidence customers are looking for, right? They're going to get stuck on where to start, and then giving the customers the confidence that, once that's set up, it is really easy to set up as well, right?
Yeah. I guess from my perspective, it would be, I would set up sensitivity labeling on team sites where documents are commonly stored. Mm-hmm. Yes, you would have your labels and your independent ones, and yes, people can manually things. But when you turn on information protection and governance within Purview, you can have AI decide, right, if it has this type of framework or this type of text, then it automatically triggers, you've got a sensitivity label on this, or this is highly confidential, so that you don't have to hire multiple people to keep labeling and checking through documents all the time. You can have maybe a QBR with your customer and go, here's the amount of data you've created this month or this quarter. Here's the amount of stuff that's being categorized or recategorized. Here's the stuff that needs to be deleted. And then the customer can effectively have their own data lifecycle management kind of arm within their business.
I think if we're being real as well, an employee isn't labeling their documents, right? So after a project's been done, if you don't have that automation, you're relying on end users to correctly classify their documents, if they're sensitive, they're confidential. So I think taking that risk off end users, because end users can be quite a risk to businesses, right? So I think the more automation you can put in place, the better, the more secure a business is going to be.
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess, is there any promotions on at the minute that can help people get started with this?
We love it. We always have promotions. So there's a couple in market at the moment. So for our business SKUs, so we launched our Defender and Purview suite in September. So that's a bundle. So they're either $10 per user per month each, or the bundle is $15. That's not a promotion as such. That's something we're going to continue. And that is a really good price point for customers. Like, that is tremendous value.
It's included in E5, that, isn't it? So
they're effectively getting E5, but for an SMB price. So that's fantastic. And then we've launched Copilot bundles. So we've got the Copilot Business Suite, and you can attach Purview. So if you're just doing Purview standalone with Copilot, there's a 50% off promo at the moment, which has just been extended to the end of June, which is the end of our financial year.
Yeah.
And that's at $5 to attach to Copilot.
Yeah, about £4.50 GBP.
There we go. We always work in dollars.
Yeah. So so until June 2026, you can get 50% off Purview, and then you've obviously got up to 35% off on the bundles with Copilot for Business and Business Standard Business Premium. It's effectively £7 extra. So instead of paying £25 for Copilot, you get Copilot for £7.
Yeah.
And then the 50% off Purview to get customers started in organising their data, because again, from a security standpoint, the data is what they want. Yes, it's great to get access to people's identity and hide behind all the tools and stuff in the business and lurk around, but ultimately they're in it for the data. And if you make it so difficult that once they eventually get into your environment, they cannot access the data because those users that they've breached do not have the access, or there's policies in place that restrict them from copying, downloading, putting a USB pen in, with some of these policies within Intune, device management, things like that, you can really make it really, really hard for them. Absolutely. I guess to finalize that is, before we kind of close off, is Defender for Business. I really want to talk about Defender for Business for just a moment, because one of the things that we're seeing a lot of is that people have Business Premium and typically forget that they've got an endpoint security management system within their Business Premium suite, because they've already got some sort of other third-party security vendor in the mix already. And one of the really interesting things is XDR within Business Premium, which allows you to effectively automate a response when a breach occurs. So I've seen this in action recently, and I was flabbergasted, to say the least, because when you look at the map in the Defender portal of how it happened, it shows you a map of here's when the breach happened at 2:00 in the morning on a Saturday when no one's logged in, how it jumped across to another PC, and then how it tried to trigger a PowerShell script, and Defender caught it, isolated the device, sent an alert, and then when everyone comes into work on Monday, that machine is isolated and the attack has been thwarted without anybody doing anything. How would you say customers and businesses should explore this a bit more deep? Because a lot of people would be afraid to turn something on that they've already got when they've already got something there. They're afraid of the confliction.
Sure.
How would you say that people can best look at Defender for Business, and what are its hidden gems that really make it kind of go, wow?
I think utilizing everything that you're paying for is super important.
Yes.
And that's challenging, right? And there's so much goodness, even just within Business Premium. The one thing I always encourage customers to do, and a lot of customers don't know this exists, and partners need to help customers with this as well, right, is looking at a secure score.
Yes.
On the Defender portal. This is incredible. It's going to give you a score out of 100 on how secure your business is, based on the tenant settings. And then it's going to give you a load of recommendations on how you can improve your security by enabling the things that you haven't enabled yet, or creating policies that you haven't created yet. So there's some amazing recommendations in there. So I'd encourage all customers, all partners to go and have a look at Secure Score, because that's probably the easiest way to finding out what am I paying for, and am I using everything that I'm paying for. So that is an absolutely fabulous tool. But I'd say on the point around, conflicting with other vendors, like this is quite a hot topic, especially as Defender Suite is now available for Business Premium. And I'd say what SMBs are looking for at the moment from their partners is how can we get a suite of solution that meet all their business needs. And there was some research from Forrester that showed that I think 60% of SMBs are now looking for one solution, rather than having all of these different complex. It's too hard to manage from a security perspective, from a vendor management,
jumping between different portals,
jumping from different portals. And look, we've done a load of research with Gartner and Forrester around this, because I think the more vendors customers have, and actually SMBs are probably worse than some enterprises. I think Gartner said there's over an average SMBs running over 15 different security vendors, which is impossible to manage, right? And actually, when there are threats, that makes it even more challenging because, attackers normally come through, like you said earlier, a phishing email or a malicious link or attachment. So you'll have one provider for your email security, which might catch that link or might catch that attachment. But if it doesn't, the attackers then know that they can move laterally across endpoints, identity, and when you have multiple vendors with those, they're not talking to each other.
No.
So it's creating these silos and blind spots for attackers, and they know that, right? So that's what they're looking for, all these multiple vendors. So I'd say kind of that's one of the real benefits of the Defender Suite, is that I think what you said earlier, it shuts down different systems, etc. So it's creating that end-to-end security solution for our customers, not creating those blind spots, and having a tool that looks after your identity, your endpoints, your emails, M365 all in one platform.
Yeah,
it is super advantageous for our customers. And the research from Forrester actually showed that customers that do invest in that end-to-end security solution see 76% reduced likelihood of a breach, which when I saw that number, I was like, wow.
Well, you can believe it, though.
That's incredible.
Like, if you look at it from your own personal world, home security, as an example, I've got a Ring Hut alarm system at home, but I could also have Verisure, I could have, other different vendors. I'm not buying multiple different vendors to do different things around my security at home. And like, one of the things that I see at the minute is that burglaries, as an example, have completely evolved since COVID. Because more people are working from home, they're being more sophisticated about when they break in and what they take. Yes, they'll take car keys, but if you don't have a nice shiny new 75-plate car in the driveway, they're going to take something else. And what they're actually taking is jewellery, because it's untraceable, and you very rarely carry a receipt for it. You're not going to go and hunt someone down. Whereas if you take like a laptop, a mobile phone, an electronic device, they can be tracked like your data. So when they start to infiltrate your environment as a business, yes, they'll copy your data. You can track the data all you want, but they can still copy, paste it, and sell it on. And, having ransomware paid by Bitcoin, and to try and make it as untraceable as possible. So it's really interesting to see that from a personal perspective, you would typically only have one solution at home. Why do you have multiple solutions in the business world? And is it because one solution doesn't do everything that you need, or is it because you've not evaluated what you're actually paying for and what you're actually using? Absolutely, yeah.
100%.
Yeah. Well, I think that's about time now. So I want to say thank you so much, Gemma. It's been really insightful. I've really enjoyed our conversation. And if you have any questions or anything like that, you can reach out to us on LinkedIn, I guess. Yeah. And we'll speak again soon.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.